This is Harry Judd for Boxing Social in partnership with Empire Fight Store. We're in Walkden, at Walkden ABC. Delighted to be joined by Jamie Moore. Your club and Charlotte Gilley's club, was it always rite of passage for you to...
It should be the way.
Oh, what, your name first? Jamie's...
Oh, mine was first then when you said it, but it should be Charlotte Gilley, MBE, and Jamie Moore. That's the way it should go.
Definitely. I've just spoken, a long chat with Charlotte then. But in terms of you as well, was it always rite of passage for you to open a club? Because you grew up around here.
Yeah, this is where I've grown up. Literally, for 3 years I was trying to get it set up on this shopping centre because of the problems that they've got on here and obviously in the area. This centre is right in between sort of Walkden where it is, and then right next door is Little Hulton, which is another town with its own problems. And I wanted to get the gym on here to get there's as many kids as we could in the gym off the streets, and it just kept coming up against roadblock after roadblock, red tape, police stopping it, saying it was going to cause more problems, and it got to the point where I'd sort of exhausted that many avenues to try and get it done. And then it was at the time when I was starting getting really busy in the gym, when Oliver had just got sick, and Marty Murray, Rocky Fielding came training with me, then Carl Frampton asked to come. So it got to the point where I didn't have the time or the energy really to follow it through. Just as a blessing in disguise, Don McGuinness rings me one day and asks me to come, if he can come to the gym with Charlotte and speak to me about being an ambassador for a charity. And she basically said to me, is there not an amateur boxing club in your area what I could help out? And I said, don't even get me started on that. I've been trying to do it for years and just keep hitting brick walls after brick wall. And she said, well, listen, don't give up. You know, it sounds like it'd be worth doing. Why don't you send me all the emails and tag me into all the ones where you've got so far with the council, the police, the shopping centre. I'll pick it up from where it is and we'll keep going with it until we get to where we want to get to. And then she did. And if it wasn't for Charlotte doing that, well, then we won't be sat here today.
Busy gym already. I mean, tonight's sessions, 2 sessions we've had today. I don't know if there's any more even tonight, but there's lots of kids that are turning up. A lot turning up for the first time as well. I noticed that this evening. I mean...
New Year.
Yeah, New Year. But perhaps January will be...
Start from that age.
Yeah, perhaps January will be busier than ever. But in terms of the area, you grew up in, how important is this boxing club, do you think, to the area?
Well, the first 2 classes will have between 40 and 50 kids in between them every time it's here, and then that isn't the carded class. So the carded class with the boxers who box for us will be between 20 and 25 kids in there. So you're talking between 16, 70 kids every night. It's open off the streets doing stuff, you know, with structure and giving them a purpose, something to do. So, you know, teaching them lessons what they're going to take for the rest of their life. So if you'd have seen, I mean, it's still like that now, but that shopping precinct, when you go around there now, it's got the worst antisocial behaviour rate in Greater Manchester. It's flipping like the Wild West. So this is a godsend for a lot of the kids, because what you'll tend to find is they don't want to be there. They're there because there's nothing else going on. They'd rather be doing something else, like coming boxing. A lot of them who come here don't want to box. They just come here because they enjoy it and it's something for them to do. It's an activity and they enjoy coming here because the coaches are good with them. And without them understanding, they're learning lessons what are going to take them for the rest of their life. But they don't actually want to box. They just want to be somewhere other than in a position where they might get themselves in trouble, or, you know, street crime. There's loads of different situations what they get put in when they're out on the streets, where when they're in a gym, they're not in them situations. So it's a sad reality, really.
You spoke to, countless boxers that are in this reception area here. I don't know whether you do, but I will ask the question anyway. Do you feel a role model?
Not really. I mean, like my only description of it would be, boxing's give me the base and the structure in my life and took me around the world. It's given me opportunities what I never would have got or would have even dreamed of if it wasn't for boxing. And I love the fact that hopefully the kids can come in here and see me and go, do you know what? I want to be able to get out of this area, or I'm still in this area. I've not got out of the area. I've no plans to get out of the area. All I'm trying to do is make it better. And in reality, if everybody who got themselves into a position through hard work, like, you know, if everyone got into a position where we are now, where we've been able to set this up and did it in their own little town or their own city across the UK, in 10 years' time, the whole country would be a better place, without a doubt, guaranteed, because these gyms change kids' lives.
Obviously, Nigel works exponentially, does loads of work within the amateur game. I first met Nigel when I worked in the amateurs, Moss side, etc. I know it's difficult for you with the amount of work you do in the pro game, but how many good stories and good case studies have come from this gym? How many positive stories have you seen come through these doors?
Loads. And it's only been open 2 years. And part of the reason why I wanted to do it was because I've seen the success of Nigel's gym in another area what's, you know, riddled with antisocial behaviour, crime. You know, to see the positive impact he had on that area made me go, that's what we needed Walkden. So in many, I mean, I knew and understood about amateur gyms and how fundamentally good they are for the community. But when you hear about it day in, day out, when I'm with Nigel and talking about it, I thought to myself, I need to do that. I need to do it in my area. And so you know, like I said about Charlotte, this wouldn't be if it wasn't for Charlotte. But the idea really was born because of what Nigel's done in Moss side.
I mean, I spoke eloquently and a long time with Charlotte just now. She's in the room, so she will be listening to your answers now. But you're listening to every word. I know you are. But look, how important is the work that Maverick Stars do? Because she is working within the 10 boroughs of Manchester. How important is that work?
Well, she's not just working there, she's working nationwide as well. I mean, going back to the beginning of lockdown and stuff like that, Charlotte was instrumental in getting going, feeding the kids who generally, you know, would be in school and might have a school meal, who's going around there doing packages for kids. You know, this isn't about what she's just doing in boxing gyms, although that is fundamentally the structure of it. It goes far and wide into communities and stuff like that. Like, we was here through the help of Steve Wood, giving people food over here for Christmas. So, you know, it was an open door for them to come and collect in the youth club up the road. We set all the food up here and gathered it, and they took it up there for families just to turn up and take a Christmas dinner. And not just a Christmas dinner, but it was the rest of the stuff what they might want to eat and be able to eat over the Christmas period while they're away from school and stuff like that. So you're not just teaching kids about giving them lessons what they're going to take for the rest of life. You're also helping the wider community as well.
I was with Derry Matthews the other day, Derry Matthews gym, and you know, the amount of work he does for charities and stuff, and he was involved with the biggest free Christmas meal in Liverpool. I found out that the other day. And Charlotte was, involved in that as well. What is it about boxing? What is it about yourselves that inhabit this sort of community work and get that sort of give back and things?
Obviously, I can't speak for anyone else, but in general, I'd say mine comes from this. I grew up with nothing, and nothing but, I will say this, I grew up with nothing except love and affection and care, and I got them traits from my mum and dad, and my want when I grew up was I don't want to grow up like I want better for myself in the future. Luckily, boxing gave me that vehicle, and then I don't want other kids to have to go through what I went through, although it does build character and resilience, and sometimes I do worry about my own kids because they've not had the struggles what I've had. So are they going to be sort of mentally strong and tough enough to get through adversities as and when they come? That does scare me, because you know, no one wants to go through a childhood where you don't have much, but I suppose that does in itself give you lessons and give, you know, teach you how to behave and give you that resilience in your mind, what you need to come through struggles anyway. So it's a bit of a catch-22, but without a doubt, what this gym is going to do for kids in the long run is 10-15 years time. I'm thinking this area in itself, you know, I see kids who I used to go boxing with bringing their kids in now, saying, I want this gym to do what it did for me. So my gym was in Little Hulton, and it shut down. It was only open for a period of time where I went there, and it closed down just after I turned professional. So this area's had nothing like that since then, and hopefully in 10 years' time, we'll be able to turn around 15 years' time, and we'll see the kids who've been coming here, bringing their kids here, saying, I want them to have the same list as what I've got.
Obviously, on the wider issues, I mean, you mentioned that when you were boxing, when you started boxing, that you grew up with nothing, and it was hard when you were growing up, and the trials and tribulations, etc. Is it harder for kids now? Because it just feels that, in terms of the amount of crime that's out there, the amount of knife crime that's out there, gang crimes, I don't know how you'd really compare the two, but kids are up against a lot of stuff out there at the moment on the street.
And they're more aware of stuff as well because of social media. And that in itself leads to loads of different problems in terms of, a problem what goes on in school, which usually would be picked up the next morning. You might go through all night because of social media. So there's loads of problems there. But this gives them a sense of belonging, family. The kids, what you see, what have been coming here, or a lot of them since the beginning. We've had 2 shows just out in the shopping centre, and it's been unbelievable. And the amount of parents coming up to me saying, thank you so much for doing this, because they're a different kid since they started coming here. And I know boxing's an individual sport, but you see each one of them encouraging each other and supporting each other, even when they're sparring, trying to help each other and give each other advice and stuff like that. So it creates like an internal community in that gym, which they're getting relationships and bonds what last forever. Rob O'Connor, who's one of my head coaches in here, I boxed with from being a kid. I went to school with him, and we boxed together, and we didn't see each other for years in between. But then, circumstances sort of it come full circle, and he's in this situation now, helping me out with the gym. It's a great story.
Speaking to Charlotte for a long time early on, and obviously before this as well, the amount of help that she's sort of asking for, really. Yeah, we were talking as well at the big money that's in professional boxing. Obviously, amateur boxing, it's really hard to get any funds at all. But do you wish that, again, I'm not speaking in terms of individual promoters, I'm not going to call anyone out, but do you hope that perhaps those bigger companies and corporations and stuff sort of get money that trickles down to help out the amateur game?
Listen, you'd like to think so, wouldn't you? Especially the companies what are earning the biggest money. But I know Matchroom have got a foundation where they've give out some money. I think they've given Nigel's club some money actually in the past. So their intentions are there. The intentions are good. But I think the problem what you've got is they have a lot of people working for them who do different roles. Maybe they should employ someone who actually focuses on something like that, because it has got to filter down. Because if it doesn't filter down, it's never going to grow back up in the future. And, you've got to create like a cycle, haven't you? But I know for a fact Eddie has tried it, but they're that busy. And the focus is on so many different fights, especially when he's gone to America and Italy and different countries. Him going, hey, I tell you what, should we go and give that little club in Walkden a few quid? So, the focus isn't there. Maybe, in time. I know the intention has been there because of the foundation, and they have done it in the past. So and I can't speak for everyone else, but I just know from experience that Matchroom are trying in some sort of way to try and do that.
What's the end goal? I guess there's no end goal with this place, but where do you want this to go?
The main goal is to create better people, so then in turn that creates a better area. You can't, we can't change the world. Charlotte is actually trying to change the world, and that's why she's got an MBE. We can't change the world. We can only try our best to change the area where we are and create a good environment for them to learn, absorb, and then in the long run, in 10-15 years time, we want to be able to turn around and go, God, you know what, this area is such a better area and the community is a better place because of this gym.
Obviously, while I've got you as well, and congratulations first of all to Charlotte Gilley. We're talking off camera there as well. Whilst I've got you here as well, we are looking towards early March for Catterall, say the rematch. What came out over Christmas? I mean, many people were having female fighter of the years and male fighter of the years. Boxing News put theirs out as Jack Catterall. A lot of negative comments about that. What was your response to the negative comments that you perhaps seen?
Well, my first thought was, it was a bold move by Boxing News. You know, they could have easily gone for somebody else, but they still obviously felt like Jack should have got the decision, and there was the thinking behind it. I haven't spoken to anybody about this, so this is the first time I've been asked this question, to be honest. But what I'm thinking is, they must have gone, do you know what? If he'd have got the result like he should have, we'd be sat here talking about Jack Catterall should be fight of the year or in the equation for it. So why shouldn't he be? Why is he not? That's what I'm thinking their thought process has been. And without a doubt, if he'd beat Josh Taylor, if he'd have got the decision, he would have been in the mix for fight of the year. He would have boxed again as well. So it's all, I know stuff like that should be structured on actual wins and achievements and bouts and fights what have took place. So it was a bit of a bold move, but I think Jack deserved it because he did beat Josh Taylor. I'll go to my grave saying that. And if he did that win, if he'd have got the decision, then he would have been in the reckoning for it.
I don't think you're the only one. I think the majority of the country.
I understand the uproar though, because on paper he didn't win the fight and he only boxed once. I understand, but and he, you know, the vast majority of us, you know, this can't be right because he only had one fight and he lost it. But then there was a lot of comments saying, but you know what, he did win that fight, but he shouldn't really get it because on paper he didn't win it. So I do understand it, but for my reckoning, he did win that fight. I'll go to my grave.
Yeah, I think the way they sort of, I guess defending it's not the right word, but the way they supported their decision was that the amount of people coming out in uproar against the decision are the same people that are commenting on the Jack Catterall Box of the Year going, how come he's named Fight of the Year? So the amount of...
Social media.
Yeah, I know.
It's a critical place sometimes, can't it? And listen, let's have it right. It's just social media. People say a lot of things on social media what they wouldn't necessarily say in real life. So I just take it with a pinch of salt. I get called a wanker, and I'm definitely not a wanker.
That's only by Charlotte as well, to be fair. Look, as well, during the Christmas break, Ben was on TalkSport to try and highlight and try to publish this fight early March. He said one of the things he came out and did say, which I asked Johnny Nelson about, and he was in support of it in a certain degree. VAR Boxing. Now, you're a football man, you're a massive Man United fan. VAR is not really working within football. Can it work within boxing? A sort of an equivalent of VAR, Ben said.
I think the only way, if you're talking about it in terms of scoring, then it'd take far too long to implement, so that just wouldn't work. So then VAR, as a result, in football, is questionable at the moment whether it's workable or not. It just wouldn't work in boxing because it would take too long. I think in terms of stuff like should you know, if it's a knockdown at the end of a round, so the referee has a minute at the end of a round as an opportunity to go, so he scored a knockdown, and then he could watch back on VAR and then go, do you know what? That wasn't a knockdown, it was a slip. Go around to the judges and go, don't count that as a knockdown, it was a slip. Or vice versa. You know, it was a slip, yet when he watches it back, it was an actual knockdown, and he counted as a slip. So then he could go and go, that was an actual knockdown, counted as a knockdown. So I think it could be used for stuff like that. Or, you know, if a fighter has done something during a round and he gets to watch it back, could be a difference between taking a point off or being a disqualification, but maybe. Yeah, okay. So I think it's probably more usable, really, in boxing, because it would be fewer and far between, rather than football, because it's ruining the flow of the game in football. You know, those moments where you're celebrating a goal and you would instantly know whether it was offside or not. Now we're getting ruined because you sort of stood there on centre hooks going, is it going to be given or not? Whereas in boxing, that minute in between where he would make a decision wouldn't affect the flow of the fight or the outcome or anything. So
it's odd. I mean, talk about football as well. I mean, when I've been to games, and I remember the first time I saw a VAR decision, I mean, you don't know, when you're in the ground watching it, you don't know what's going on because it's not like television.
In Old Trafford, because there's no screens. Every other ground in the country, I go to the aways all the time, there's a screen in every ground except Old Trafford, which is supposed to be one of the best grounds in the country, which, you know, I'm hearing rumours that we're getting a new ground in the next couple of years, so we need one.
Well, lead the football as well, apart from that. obviously we're still waiting on the announcement of early March and waiting on when that's confirmed. But I think the gloves are off has been filmed. To go into that, what can we expect, Jamie?
Well, we can expect a bit of entertainment. Put it that way. That's all I can say at the moment.
Fantastic! I can't wait for that because when obviously we know about the decision, etc. Oh, they've just donned the Walkden ABC hats have just come out. I mean, I was hoping that. You want to get one on, Joey? Can you pass it to? There we go. Yeah. You got.
Should we give 5 away? Yeah. If anyone would like one, we give 5 beanie hats away.
DM us on Walkden ABC Instagram.
DM on Walkden ABC to get yourself.
ABC Instagram. Yep.
To get yourself a beanie hat.
Signed by Charlotte MBE.
Signed by Charlotte Gilley MBE. Is it Dame Charlotte? How do I know?
Not that nonsense, is it?
Please tell me it is. I will terrorise you. Honestly.
Not a chance.
Hi, is that Dame Charlotte?
It's not Dame Charlotte.
It fucking better not be. Better not be.
As well as the gloves are off as well. Obviously, I will go on to because Josh has been on doing much media, so has Jack. But I obviously say what Josh said to Jack. I don't believe Jack Catterall gets anywhere near me this time. Listen, he can't beat me at my worst, and I have a very close fight, and he can't get anywhere near me at my best. Response to that?
Yeah, listen. It's words, and he's entitled to his opinion. But that got said before the first fight. How are you going to beat me? How are you going to outfight me? How are you going to outbox me? I'm on a different level. And I said, in fight week, I said, listen, Josh Taylor, phenomenal fighter. And he is. But he's never been in with anybody like Jack Catterall. And nobody understands how good Jack is because he's never had the opportunity to fight at this level yet. And nobody knows how good somebody is until they actually take that step up. So I understand Josh feeling like he underperformed that night. But everybody does that against Jack because he's really good at getting people to box his fight. That's what makes him a good fighter. Also, he can punch. He punches a lot harder than people understand. His timing, his judgment of distance, his defence. So all those things. So I don't think Josh overlooked him the first time. I think Ben Davison understood how good Jack was. I think Josh did as well. He couldn't get going because Jack didn't allow him to get going. But this is a different fight now. We have to, we've got to anticipate that Josh is going to come out and do something differently. Even though I think probably 80% we're not going to get a different Josh because he's fundamentally done what he's done all his career for a reason. Because it works, and he's a fucking good fighter. I just know, and I said it many times in the build-up last time, I just know I've got a fighter in Jack Catterall who can beat him. He's got his kryptonite, and that's it. And that doesn't mean that Josh Taylor's a bad fighter. I'm a fan of Josh Taylor. I used to love watching Josh Taylor fight. I just know how good Jack Catterall is, and I know he'll beat him again.
Has it been difficult to go back in the gym and sort of retrain for this fight? Because I guess, because a lot of people were saying that it's going to be such a different fight because the surprise, in inverted commas, of Jack Catterall is now out the window. So has it been difficult in terms of, I don't know, if you've changed your game plan or going into this fight, it's obviously got to be a different sort of preparation? Yeah,
there's got to be adjustments, of course there has. Because if we're stupid enough to go, well, we beat him last time, but we didn't get the decision. Yeah. So we have to be aware, prepared that Josh is going to come different. Maybe he will. Joe McAnally is a very good trainer. Been around boxing for many years, so I'm sure they'll come up with a game plan. My thing with Jack is he's so versatile. He can adapt to different situations. So people talk about game plan. Are you going to have a game plan? But a good fighter can adapt in a second, not in a round, or wait till he gets back to the corner and get told what to do by his coach. Everything what we try and do fundamentally in our gym is it's all done before the fight. So you won't see me saying a lot, especially if the fight's going our way, because everything what we spoke about and we've drilled until it becomes second nature should be playing out in the ring. But one of the main parts of that is adaptability. You've got to be able to adapt during a round.
Jamie, thank you for inviting me down. Well, didn't you? I've sort of ambushed you this evening trying to get a chat with Charlotte, but thanks for letting me down to the gym, and we'll catch up soon, mate.